Before passwords, before security cameras, before digital locks, there was the key. Think about that for a second. This little piece of metal, or wood, or now even just a signal has been our silent guardian for millennia. It's a simple concept, really. One object and only one can open a specific lock. This idea is so powerful, so fundamental to how we think about safety and privacy, that we've carried it with us for 4,000 years. The journey of the key is more than just a story about keeping doors shut. It's a fascinating look into the evolution of human ingenuity, our need for security, our slight obsession with keeping our stuff away from other people's hands. It's a story that is beautifully simple, wonderfully visual, and at its core, the story of how humanity first learned to protect the things that matter most. It's about trust technology, and the timeless desire to feel secure in our own space. Welcome to Objects of Time, the place where we explore the small, often overlooked tools and everyday items that have quietly shaped the course of our big, complicated history. We believe that every object tells a story, and some of those stories are epic. If you enjoy diving into the tales behind inventions, gadgets, the simple things we use every day, then do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and give this a like. It helps us keep digging for these stories. Now, let's get this show on the road. It's time to insert the key into the lock of the past and give it a turn. This exploration into the history of keys is not just for history buffs or aspiring locksmiths. It's for anyone who has ever fumbled for their keys in the dark, felt that small panic when they think they've lost them, or experienced the simple satisfaction of turning a lock and hearing that satisfying click. That sound is a direct link to thousands of years of innovation. From massive wooden contraptions in the palaces of pharaohs to the invisible signals that unlock our cars today, the principle remains the same. So, let's begin our journey at the very beginning, in a time of pyramids, pharaohs, and some surprisingly clever carpentry. Let's rewind the clock. Way back, we're talking about 4,000 years ago, in the land of ancient Egypt. This is where our story truly begins, with the invention of the first recognizable locks and keys. Now forget the small metal things you have in your pocket. These early security systems were enormous and crafted entirely from wood. The lock mechanism was a chunky wooden bolt assembly fitted inside a heavy door. To secure it, a large bolt would slide into a hollowed-out post in the door frame. The real genius, however, was in how you unlocked it. This is where we see the very beginning of the key invention story, a moment that would define security for centuries to come. The key itself was also a hefty piece of wood, sometimes up to 2 feet long, shaped a bit like an oversized toothbrush or a small ladder. It wasn't about turning, it was about lifting. The lock contained a set of wooden pins tumblers of varying lengths that would drop down into holes drilled in the bolt, preventing it from being moved. The key had pegs on its end that were designed to match these pins perfectly. When you inserted the key into the lock and lifted it, the key's pegs would raise the internal pins to the correct height, clearing the way for the bolt to be slid open. These are the first true ancient locks. Imagine the scene, a wealthy merchant in Thebes, securing his storeroom filled with grain-precious oils. He doesn't have a small metal key, he has this massive wooden contraption that he probably carries over his shoulder. It was cumbersome, sure, but it was a revolutionary piece of security technology for its time. It meant that for the first time, you could secure a space without needing a human guard to stand there 24/7. This invention provided peace of mind and laid the foundational principle of all modern locks. The pin tumbler mechanism. It's an idea so brilliant that we still use a more refined version of it today. It's a testament to the cleverness of these ancient engineers that their basic concept has endured for so long. While the materials and the scale have changed dramatically, the core logic, using a uniquely shaped object to manipulate internal components into alignment, remains the heart of mechanical security. And now for a little fun fact to lock away in your brain, because these wooden keys were so large and unwieldy, they were often seen as a status symbol. Carrying a big fancy key meant you had something valuable enough to protect, making it the ancient equivalent of flashing a fancy car key. As empires rose and fell, the key traveled and evolved. The Romans, known for their engineering prowess and love of all things practical, took the Egyptian concept and refined it. They were the ones who truly popularized the use of metal, primarily iron and bronze for both locks and keys. This was a major upgrade. Metal keys were far more durable, smaller, and could be crafted with much greater complexity and precision than their wooden predecessors. This shift allowed for more intricate locking mechanisms, making them significantly harder to pick and providing a much higher level of security for the citizens of the vast Roman Empire. The Romans didn't just see the key as a tool. They turned it into a personal accessory, a status symbol, and even a piece of jewelry. affluent Romans would often have their keys incorporated into rings, known as key rings. This wasn't just for convenience, although it certainly made it harder to lose your key. Wearing a key on your finger was a public declaration of wealth and status. It signaled that you were the master of a household with locked doors, strong boxes, and valuable possessions. It was a subtle, wearable boast that said, "I have things worth stealing, and this is the proof that I can protect them." This practice elevated the key from a purely functional object to a symbol of power, trust, and authority. A key could grant access not just to a home, but to a storeroom of goods, a vault of money, or a chest containing important documents and letters. The designs of these Roman keys were often quite beautiful and ornate, featuring decorative heads shaped like animals or intricate patterns. Locksmiths of the era became highly skilled artisans, creating these small metal masterpieces that were as much works of art as they were functional security devices. This period cemented the key's role not just in our homes, but in our culture as well. The innovation didn't stop with aesthetics either. The Romans are credited with inventing the warded lock. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, a time of castles, kingdoms, and a general sense that you really needed to keep your doors locked. Security in this era became bigger, heavier, and more imposing. The delicate bronze keys of the Romans gave way to massive, heavy iron keys, designed to operate equally massive and complex iron locks. These were needed to secure everything from the towering gates of a walled city to the dungeon doors deep within a fortress, and of course, the quintessential treasure chest, overflowing with gold and jewels. This was the golden age of the blacksmith and the locksmith, whose skills were in higher demand than ever. The locksmith history really blossomed into a respected and secretive craft during this period. Locksmiths were the guardians of security, trusted artisans who created intricate mechanisms designed to thwart the increasingly clever methods of thieves and spies. The warded locks inherited from the Romans became far more complex. With elaborate and labyrinthine internal pathways, the keys themselves became works of art, often featuring incredibly ornate bows, the part you hold, decorated with religious symbols, family crests, complex Gothic tracery. A key didn't just open a door, it represented the authority and power of the person who held it. Imagine the keeper of a castle treasury. The key they held would have been a masterpiece of ironwork, a heavy symbol of their immense responsibility. These keys were often unique, with complex bit patterns, the teeth at the end, that were painstakingly filed by hand. The goal was to create a lock and key pair that was one of a kind. This attention to detail was crucial for protecting the wealth of nobles, the secrets of kings, the relics of the church. The clanking sound of a jailer's keys became a powerful audio symbol of imprisonment and control, echoing through stone corridors and cinematic history alike. This era was all about defense in depth, and the lock was the last line of that defense. While moats and high walls were great, a simple, well-made lock was what kept an intruder from walking right into the throne room. And here's a fun fact that speaks to the trust placed in these craftsmen. A master locksmith was often sworn to secrecy. They were forbidden from reproducing a key without the owner's express permission, and were sometimes considered to hold the secrets of an entire city or kingdom in their hands. They were the original white hat hackers, but with forges and files instead of keyboards. For thousands of years, every lock and key was a unique handcrafted item. They were effective, sure, but they were also expensive and accessible mainly to the wealthy. Then, the Industrial Revolution roared to life in the 18th and 19th centuries, and it changed absolutely everything, including the humble key. The advent of factories' steam-powered precision machinery meant that locks and keys could finally be mass-produced. Suddenly, high-quality security wasn't just for kings and merchants anymore. It was becoming available to the everyday person. This was the democratization of security, a pivotal moment in the evolution of locks and keys. Innovators and inventors led a revolution in lock design. Robert Barron, Joseph Bramah, Linus Yale Sr., Linus Yale Jr. They moved away from simple warded locks which were becoming easy to pick and developed far more sophisticated mechanisms. The most significant of these was the modern pin tumbler lock patented by Linus Yale Jr. in 1861. This design, a brilliant refinement of the ancient Egyptian concept, used pins of varying lengths that had to be perfectly aligned by the key's jagged edge. This new level of precision made locks exponentially more secure and much more difficult to defeat. With new machines that could cut metal parts with incredible accuracy, factories began churning out thousands of locks and keys that were both reliable and affordable. The modern, flat metal key with its serrated edge began to take the shape we recognize today. This mass production allowed for the widespread securing of homes, businesses' cabinets, and post office boxes. The key became a ubiquitous part of daily life for the growing middle class. It was no longer a hefty iron symbol of power, but a small, lightweight tool for personal privacy and protection, jingling in pockets and purses across the globe. This era established the foundation for the security landscape we live in now. The ability to manufacture millions of unique key combinations meant that every front door on a street could have its own distinct lock. The key was no longer a one-off piece of art, but a precision-engineered component of a massive security system spanning entire cities. And for your fun industrial-age fact, early lock manufacturers would often hold public competitions, offering large cash prizes to anyone who could pick their new, unpickable locks. This was a brilliant marketing tactic that both demonstrated their confidence and fueled further innovation in lock design. For the vast majority of its history, the key was a physical object you could hold. But in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the story took a dramatic turn. Leaping from mechanical to digital, the key began to dematerialize. First came the electronic key card, which uses a magnetic stripe or an embedded chip to communicate with a reader. Then came the car key fob, which traded metal teeth for a radio transmitter that talks to your car, telling it to unlock its doors or start its engine. A unique token still grants access. Today, the age of the smart lock, the key becomes invisible. Codes punched into a keypad fingerprint biometric facial scan app on your smartphone, phone to lock signal. Grant temporary access to a friend, grant temporary access to a delivery person remotely. View an access log of every opening. Smart locks transformed simple door locks into connected, intelligent devices, fully integrated into our digital lives. The key is now a piece of data, yet the fundamental logic persists. A digital lock still must verify a credential. Mechanical check, key shape versus tumblers. Digital check, password. Digital check, cryptographic signature from your phone. Digital check, fingerprint ridges matching stored data. Journey, from lifting wooden pins to verifying encrypted signals, but the goal of confirming the right one remains unchanged. This evolution proves the original concept's power and endurance. We still seek the peace of mind of our Egyptian ancestors, with better tools. Future. Keys become more integrated and invisible, tied to identity in new ways. Final fun fact, many smart locks include a hidden traditional keyhole. Low-tech backup, comforting, reliable metal key when the battery dies. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video and would like to see more stories about the objects that shaped our world, please subscribe to the Objects of Time channel.